In a world full of rush, pause for a drink. Pure, clear, and fresh. Let your mind think. In every sip of 1 and 8 alkaline, you'll find a taste so pure, refreshes the mind. With a 9.5 pH, it's balanced just right. Electrolytes to keep you bright. Potassium fuels your everyday, keeps you glowing in every way. Drink water and mind your business until it's time to stand on it. 1 and 8 alkaline, the water that keeps you glowing. Let's glow.
Peace, 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 peace. It is Pastor Ben back one more time with a little Wednesday wisdom. And I was trying to give a little time to try to get some more folks in the building. I see we got some people jumping in on YouTube and hopefully Facebook. So we're gonna get started. Got a great evening plan for you. You know, as we like to do on Wednesdays, we like to when we can, bring individuals on that are doing different things in the community and having events or programs or doing various things or in whatever field. We like to highlight that because once again, we like to truly be a resource. So with that said, uh, shout out to everybody joining us on Facebook. Got on the main Facebook page. I was having some issues with that, but I think we got it. We got it good to go. And then also, I don't know what's going on Instagram. Something's happening there, but I'll try to fix it. But my apologies. But we are on the Facebook and YouTube page, and we have the link on the Resource Center bookstore page. So please check it out, share it, like it, subscribe. Make sure you jump in the chat and share any questions, thoughts, and connect with us. And as I look, as my kids get louder in the back, excuse them. But as I like to do, as you can see the bottom screen, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, email us. Please connect with us and reach out. So, with that said, I want to bring a gentleman on who is doing big things to uh, enhance the hip hop scene. Let's say that in Greensboro, North Carolina, in the Triad area. It also works in the community, works with young folks in the college arena. So he's doing big things. So we want to bring him on and share with you uh, a brother that's has got many things going on now. So without any more delay, let me bring on my brother Ernest Hooker. What's going on, brother Hooker?
Not much, man. Glad to be live on your show today.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
been delighted. I watch your show. Of course, shout out to my brother McKee, who kind of connected us. And I think what you're doing is great for the community, but also a great resource for us to have some discussion and topics of things that are going on, especially around Greensboro, and also just around the United States. I think it's a wealth of knowledge. As my grandmother used to say, we need to have these what I call front porch conversations with collard greens and macaroni and cheese and some, some good turkey.
yeah. Hey, man, no doubt, and I'm truly grateful to have you on. So just to get started, for all those who may not know, uh, brother Hooker host uh, or co-host, shall I say,
Hmm.
uh, a hip hop, should we say, podcast slash culture
Hmm.
podcast called Digging in the Crates. Uh, and he co-hosted with Dr. Terrence McAdoo, who I grew up with from
Hmm.
Little League football.
Yeah.
all the way up through high school. So shout out to we used to call him Scooby back in the day. I
Okay.
don't
Yeah,
know if
that's what
he
he
likes
told
us.
me.
Okay, I don't know if he likes us to still
Yeah,
say it.
he used to say Scoob, it's interesting that you make that. Also I have another host, his name is DJ Amazing One Alien.
Okay,
He's part of the crew Beyond Reality Music and Yasmin. So
okay,
those are some other people who are begin to come to the forefront. But for me and Mac, we met at A&T. He was teaching at A&T. I was teaching at A&T. And again, thank you for highlighting the hip hop radio. And we were interested enough. It was D. Cherie who worked at 90.1. Really got me started. We were asked to host a show, and they were talking about some of the great how music impacts social movements. And what came up to light was NWA. And so me and Matt got on there. We were, of course, it was Bob Davis is the one who was running the weekly show on WNAA. And a gentleman called in, and he was basically talking about give a bad spin on NWA. And I, growing up in California, Pasadena area, I basically said that, hey, NWA was providing a language and lens that uh, we were protesting what was going on in the community. You had the Watts riots. Um, the high school I went to, John Muir, back during the '60s when my dad went there, um, during the civil rights movement. So fast forward, D. Cherie, me and Mac basically, well, I don't want to say shut the guy down, but the way we approached him, she said, have you thought about doing radio? And I'm a college professor, so music has always been in my heart. So after that, she said, hey, you might want to consider doing radio. And I said, well, I just like to do it as a hobby. And so when me and Mac, came about, I said, man, we got to do a podcast. And I said, now, Mac, we can't just do it, at our home with a table. So I decided to rent a studio. It's in Greensboro. I don't necessarily like to disclose the location, but it's in Greensboro. And I decided to, because I watched all these podcasts and people were just sitting there behind a table with a microphone. And I said, this just isn't enough. So we have to get a little flavor to it. So me and a colleague of mine, Xavier Carrington, we started piecing it together. And we went back to the old school. If you remember, uh, Ed Lover and Dr. Dre, when they had, MTV was the first to host Yo MTV Raps. So my video, we kind of created off of this different, pictures in their museums, tape decks, record players, 8 tracks. I even got a old vinyl that has breakdance. So that's kind of how me and Matt got started, man. And we just been around since 2017, and basically, I know KRS One calls it edutainment, and that's what we really want to do. We're not trying to knock, the newer hip hop, but we are saying, hey, let's check ourselves and listen. Let's see what we're listening to, and then we need to control the music because it's just getting out of hand. And so that's how me and Matt got started, man. And we've been around for a minute. He lives in Charlotte, so he's off and on. But I've had, like I said, I mentioned, Gene and Yasmin. And Gene is, kind of stepped in. We're basically trying to build a brand that one is beneficial to people, individuals in the Greensboro area who may be interested in developing a show. Another component is vinyl matters. I think that we need to get back to vinyl. And the last part of it is just, using our platform so people can share their stories. If somebody owns a local business, um, I know I had a couple years ago, I had one of my colleagues, Brenton Boyce, he was running for the DA. He was on there. Another person, um, trying to think of his name, Justin Outland, who was on City Council. Uh, they reached out to us. They didn't reach out to us for political reasons. They reached out to us because of what we were doing. So, in a nutshell, that's kind of where we are. We hoping to push it forward, but being able to be on a show like yours, um, again, the platform is not for us; it's for everyone. And music, as I said, every beat on a record lies jazz, hip hop, gospel, country music, because of vinyl matters.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And when you look at history and like you said, storytelling, that all encompasses hip hop and shares the language and culture, and those are the things we preserve it through, right? Real
Mhm.
hip hop. But so want to kind of shift because we could go in
Yeah,
depth with just the
right.
view of NWA and the West Coast versus
Yeah.
that's all. But I'm gonna try to
Oh,
stay. I'm
okay.
gonna try to stay focused because we got
Okay.
some other business to
That's true.
handle.
Okay.
But um, but it's very key what you said as far as what we use these platforms for, and that is to share the stories of people and
Mhm.
be a resource. You know what I'm saying? And that's very valuable. So let me
Okay.
get to some
Okay.
business, and then we gonna go into the
Okay.
other stuff in the hip hop. So
Okay.
several things that you're a part of, and one of those
Hmm.
things is with one of the youth sports programs in Greensboro. Am I correct?
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Yeah, that's correct.
and let me pull it up,
Hmm.
and let me see if I could get it all here real quick. And that is Friday Night Lights, right?
Yes.
Which started this past Friday in Greensboro, North Carolina, through the Parks and Recreation here, where it is youth flag football that's going on all the way through July 11th. So break down kind of your role in that and how that came about in
So
serving the
how did
community.
so being I'm involved in the community. I currently work for Parks and Rec part time, Greensboro Parks and Rec, and so they have flag football going on. For the youth, we've got about I think we got about 8 teams. They play on Friday night at Hester Park. And what we were trying to do is kind of blend the music, the food, make it a family fun event on a Friday night. Friday night lights. There's nothing going on. Um, it's just the opportunity to get the youth, and then again, me and my partner, um, Gene, playing the music. I have a little, costume I might dress up in, but it's a family fun event. They got food. I'm gonna tell you, last week, man, this lady had some homemade cookies and Ben, man, them things will make you it'll make you do flips in the parking lot. That's how good it was. And
Okay, okay.
we like fried fish.
Yes,
People
yeah,
like the hot fish. But more importantly, man, Ben, it's an opportunity for us to get together. It don't matter, who you are, where you're from. It's all about the youth. You
that's
know,
right. That's right.
they have midnight basketball, so why not come get you a hot dog or a plate of fish and support the youth? And so
That's right.
I'm really
That's
big
right.
on that. But thanks to Greensboro Parks and Rec, my supervisors, they have really been on board with making it a more community oriented event because you know how sometimes music adds to it, but it's
Yeah.
actually good. We'll be out there this Friday night.
Yes.
Be spinning some records, so come out and bring your lawn chairs. If you got a bullhorn, come out there and cheer. Support the youth. We'll have a table set up. Come listen to some music. We'll take requests, and the music is kid friendly music. We had the kids dancing last week. We
Okay.
even had
Yeah.
some parents out there, and we even had, honestly, Ben, we even had some of the referees make shaking and baking. But
All right. All right. I
yeah,
yeah, I saw some highlights. Shout out to brother Will McKee back at McKee. He was out there live, and I had something going on and I'm actually leaving for a conference tomorrow. If not, I'd be out there this Friday to support. But I will get out there before it's done because you're doing big things, and it looked like y'all were having a whole lot of fun, and I know there was going to be some good eating.
Oh yeah, great eating.
So that's every Friday through July 11th. From 6 to 9 p.m., y'all. Please come on out and support it. It is about the youth and just us coming together to have fun, family fun, some wholesome fun. You know, it's rare you get that mixture at all these events. So shout out to you for that, Brother Hooker, and appreciate all you doing with that. So that's one thing, but we're not through. We're not through. So there's another event that you're hosting this Friday, and we know this is a big week in this area with all the Juneteenth celebrations and everything going on. So you're hosting an event on Saturday. I'm gonna let you get into that real quick, and then I'm gonna pop the flyer up, but tell us about the event you're hosting on this Saturday.
So we're doing at the back table. This will be our second event at the back table. We're gonna do some hip hop games. We got 90s R&B versus 90s hip hop. You know, so we're gonna play some fun games again. DJ Amazing One Alien is gonna be on the ones and twos. Your boy McKee is gonna be there. And so again, it's a good night, 90s R&B versus hip hop, whoever your favorite. We're gonna have a section on there called, which one to scratch, and that's gonna be, you play. So say that you say like you got the battle between Jay-Z and Nas, okay, which song, to take down, which one is better? You got 90s R&B. So if you're going, like Escape versus Total, so it's a very vibrant event. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do a live show. So come out and support. We need an audience because we're also taking in questions, and I will be in rare form. I'll be in my hip hop wizard costume. And we'll do that for about an hour. And then we got some other stuff. Another thing I want to put out there, we got what's called Puff Puff Pass the Lyric. So for all you freestyle artists out there that think they got the 16 bars, now we don't want you to come with anything that's rehearsed. We want you to go straight off the dome.
Oh, that's my thing right there.
So what we're asking to do, someone starts off flowing, and then the next person can either pass it to the next person, or they can go off of their lyric and then move along. So it's called Puff Puff Pass the Lyric. And again, you're the great DJ, the Alien, DJ Amazing One Alien. He gonna take us to outer space. So
okay.
Good with the music. I know you've seen him. So
yeah,
I'm just in the background. I'm not a DJ.
But
he can take you to Mars and Venus in the same breath. So family fun event, come out to the back table. Address is up there. You can also hit my email address if you want to, want to know more about the event. But we're asking everybody to come out. And then on Sunday, there'll be a party. We had Omar Tyree at the studio a couple of weeks
ago. Yeah.
He's gonna have his Fly Girl party, and I know there's people in Greensboro that knows about the Fly Girl. So just come out and support family event. You got hip hop charades, or just come out, enjoy the music, enjoy the vibe, and have a good time.
No doubt. So now I don't want to breeze over that, but that is at the back table this Saturday night, 816 South Elm Street. And I've posted it on Facebook and Instagram. We're gonna keep pumping it up. I'm not gonna be there. I had to leave for a conference, but I hope this won't be the last time you do it, right? The one and only time, right? Because I need to come in and get on that freestyle, man. Because
Oh yeah,
I think people sleep on me
yeah.
because I don't went into ministry and think I don't still have bars.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They used to think I owned a candy shop with all the bars I keep, man. But anyway, that's another day, another story. But let me ask this, because you said something about the hip hop wizard. Can we talk a little bit about that? I want to know
Okay.
about this.
Okay.
So break that down.
So what the hip hop wizard is I go in my bag of music. I can pull out Kenny Rogers. I can pull out American. I can pull out the Average White Band. I can pull out Def Leppard. I can go to Sting and the Police. I can go to Booger Monsters. People don't remember that group. I can pull out Black Moon. I can pull out Poor Righteous Teacher.
Come
And what
on.
I do is I get in the costume. I got a costume that has a record on the back of it. And how I came up with that, I just decided that, let me add some magical mystery to the hip hop wizard. And I wear my mask, I got my shirt, and we just go through a musical journey. So I decided to come up with that to kind of freshen up music. In other words, when I'm on air, I'm the hip hop wizard. I'm not Ernest Hooker. That's more of who I am. But yeah, so we get into that. Yeah, that's came up with the costume. I need to do it more. My friend Xavier Carrington and Gene, they keep encouraging me to do more. As a matter of fact, Gene he just hit me up. I didn't know if he could join our live, but he just hit me up. So yeah.
Well, look, I just want to show this, and I put this out there on some other shows. Now, y'all know
Gospel hip hop. Okay.
When I say I am hip hop, I am hip hop. Shout out to the teacher, right? So yeah, we got it. Yeah. Oh man, I didn't know, Brother Gene, but we'll get it. We'll get it in.
Okay.
But let me ask this.
Okay.
As we wind down. So with hip hop, I like to ask this, like, where do you see it now compared to our generation? Because I know there's, some are like, let them do what they do, but then you got some that's like, it's just complete garbage out here. You got some like me who I rarely listen to anything past about 2005 in my hip hop, but I like some of the new stuff. But where do you see it now compared to our generation? Is it, well, just go in and we'll flow from there.
think if I like to use analogy. So if hip hop was a stop sign, I would say we had a yellow caution. Proceed with caution. The reason why I say that is because, not to take a knock on what's out. I'm like you. I don't really listen to stuff past the 2000 unless it's some underground hip hop like Costa Contra, West Side Gun, those guys. But I think what you're seeing is that hip hop is not dead. Let's just get that. I think it has to be a teaching mechanism where you're listening to the music, because hip hop, and I learned this from a guy named Skyzoo, is lyrical. It's content. It's like that book you just put up. It's educational, but it's not so educational to where you got somebody walking around making quotes all day of the famous rappers. But I think where we're at now is way different. Than the frequency is different than what you see now. It's all the same beat. And again, Gene, I've learned so much from him as far as the beats and stuff. And so when I'm watching him, he's like a magician. He's like cooking up something, and he doesn't. you know, back in the day, you ain't gonna walk up to no DJ and say, "Hey, play this." You just not. You going. Of course, you might got your favorites, but you feed off the crowd, and so what you're seeing now is I call it Cheerio music. You can rap about Cheerios and the colors of Cheerios,
Mm-hmm.
but guess what? You here today, gone tomorrow. So I think there needs to be a more of a, you know, making the gap closer between our generation
Mm-hmm.
and their generation when it comes to publishing, when it comes, because, you know, performing and all that, that's 30 to 40%, but the 90% of the business is knowing your publishing, having your ass cap, you know, building
Yeah.
a team around you to help you uh, get your music out there, your production, who's doing your beats. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you working with your producer? Are you going there and saying, "Hey, I like this sound"? Or, you know, a lot of times I have artists that come and we interview and they're just not ready, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't shun them. I say, "Hey, look, uh, you might want to, you know, consider, you know, changing your, not who you are, but, you know, add a little flavor to it, add a snare, add a vocal, you know." And then, you know, hip hop is considered, it's literary works, you know. If you take Eric B. and Rakim, right? You just held up that book, right? So if, and I'll ask you this, so who's in your hip hop book as far as literary works that you can actually look at what they're talking about and say, "You know what,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to hip hop church in this book." So for you, what do you consider literary works of hip hop?
Literary. Now break that down so I make sure we on the same
So
page.
literature, like, so when you look at a book, you got
Yeah.
many authors and they write and they said, okay, so you say, okay, this is Ben Free and I'm going to create a literary works of the
Yeah.
top 10 hip hop
Oh,
solo artists.
okay. Okay.
And then you create that book by saying, okay, chapter one is, um,
Oh, now I get it.
yeah,
Now I get it.
chapter one is Eric B. and Rakim. Chapter two might be,
Got you.
yeah.
Got
So when I, that's why I'm asking, because that is the key component of what we're missing in hip hop.
you. You right. You right. Because for me, it was Eric B and Rakim. It was
Okay.
Rakim. Check out my melody that opened my eyes. Because it was a different. Rakim was a very different style than the traditional what we heard with Run DMC and like he changed like lyricism and rapping forever. Like I think he changed it and took it to a new level. You know, I would have Big Daddy Kane with a chapter in there. He was ahead of his time. And of course, the teacher, KRS-One. I would have to have X Clan, Brother J.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to have, people might get mad at me, but I'd have to have NWA in there. Because
Okay.
in 87, I was sneaking in my room on the little Fisher Price to play the tape. Cause I ain't want nobody to hear me, so I get in trouble. With
Right.
all that language. But these are the things that I think molded us and made us aware. These artists, you know, for me, Brand Nubian would have a chapter in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna be honest, and I've told Brother McKee, it was just on Sunshine when I first heard that, and I heard Grand Poobah say the Asiatic black man is a dog spelled backwards.
Yeah.
Made me think, and that was the first time I had come into hearing that knowledge, that 5% of knowledge or whatever. And then when the Wu came, it was over. So they would probably be the final chapter in my book, right?
Right.
Because because that's just a story in itself. And just look at what that's evolved to. The series on Hulu, the documentaries, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The saga continues, So That would be my literary group right there that kind of molded me, that I would open, you know, um, and not to say others wouldn't get a shout out, but like influential,
Yeah.
whose lyrics I like studied, and
Mhm. Yeah.
it uplifted me. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a good conversation.
Oh,
So,
and a tribe. Did I say a tribe?
oh yeah, Tribe Called Quest,
Tribe.
right?
Yeah.
So I went to school, um, and I was more of a West Coast cat,
Hmm.
NWA. Matter of fact, I went to school with Troop. John B went to my
Okay.
high school. I'm actually good friends with, not friends, but associates with Tosh and the Alcoholics, which um, I remember
Okay.
when a
Oh,
lot of
now
people
that's
don't
my guy.
know,
Yeah.
and you need to know this, but Coolio was a member of WC and the Mad Circle and Low
Yeah.
Profile, a song called Pay Dues. He
Okay.
was in that
Yeah.
group. And a lot of
Rest in
people don't
power.
know that. Yeah, rest in power. And so when I heard Souls of Mischief 93 Until, I was sold.
Mm. Mm.
And that now this is we talking about 90s West Coast music, right? Now what changed me is, and of course I gotta put my boys the De La Soul in there, you know, rest in power. Um
Hmm.
to
True boy.
True Boy. So when I graduated from high school and we got ready to pack the gym, and I'm waiting for my NWA, I'm waiting for DJ Quick, right? Man,
That, woo, he's
yeah,
in my book too.
what comes on the screen is, hey, leave your number. Sorry, I can't get to you.
Yeah.
I want your phone name and your number, and I get back to
Back
you.
to you. Yeah.
And I was hooking you, and the ladies in there, they was like, man, this is why. So I had a friend in high school. She knew. She said, Ernest, you always know all the good music. And this was when house parties was packed. We used to have ditch parties in the middle of the day. But
Yeah.
my point here is that, you know, what really turned me when X Clan was one. I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. They're one of my favorite groups
Hmm.
because of the Afrocentric, but it was just so different, you
Yes.
know. And with the keys, sissies,
Yeah. Yeah.
abracadabra, So just the sampling, you don't hear that no more. You mentioned X Clan, people gonna look at you like,
Yeah.
oh God, why is he playing that? But
Yeah.
me, if I'm at a club and they throw that thing on, oh, I'm in there. I remember seeing I remember going to the Soul. It's a funny story, real quick. I remember going to the Soul Train Awards down to LA. We used to sneak in there. I remember seeing the Ghetto Boys. Again,
Ooh.
now I'm in California, right?
Hmm.
And we went to this is when you can go to like Tower Records and the
Yeah.
warehouse to pick up CD. Man, me and my friend went to pick up Ghetto Boys. Man, we was to play that thing over and over
Yeah.
and over. And then we got a chance to go to the Soul Train Awards. I got a chance to meet Scarface, man. He was smoking a cigarette in the middle of the street.
Hmm.
And so you were able to do that. So I think do I like radio? Yeah, but I think that you need to sit down and have these conversations with these artists.
Yeah.
Well, it can't just be we're gonna listen to your music for a few minutes. So on
Yeah.
our show, we like to talk to the artists.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so, growing up in California, when I saw, X Clan, Poor Righteous Teacher, um, now one of my favorite groups, and I'm gonna put it out there, Main Source. People
Yes.
sleep on large professor. Now,
Yeah.
this might upset you. So when I was in basic training, I had a friend. They called him GQ. So he was a dude from New York. So he said, man, because we got a chance to go to the PX, and he said, man, I'm going to get that Nas. So I was like, Nas. So I was like, cool. So we got there, and I saw that picture of that little boy on the album cover. I said, man, I ain't buying. That's a rock group. He said, man, Hook. He said, I'm gonna tell you, once you get this CD, he said, I put it in, And when I heard whose world is this,
Yeah.
I forgot about the pictures. So that's what I'm talking about. And as a matter of fact, I used to use that when I, went to the gym. I popped
Yeah.
those things on. So I think music we have gotten away from that, and we need to get back to that.
Yeah, no doubt. And I want to give a shout to some of my favorite West Coast rappers, Dale the Funky Homo Sapien,
Ooh,
the Far Side, Digital Underground. But they were kind of, I know Shock was kind of East Coast, but they was
yeah, yeah,
more West Coast for
yeah.
majority.
Tupac was in there.
Tupac, shout out MC8,
You
DJ Quick.
like MCA?
Interesting story with DJ Quick. So in 91, close friend of the family, rest in peace, Miss Jeanette Pruitt. She brings me a tape. Matter of fact, she brought me X Clan and she brings me tape. She brings me 3 tapes, right? X Clan, BDP Live, and then she says this third tape. I don't know if you've heard of him, but this is one of my former students. She was a guidance counselor at the high school, and she hands me this DJ Quick tape. And she's like, I don't know if you heard of him. And I was like, Born and Raised. That had just come out. Born and Raised in Compton.
Yeah.
And man, when I put that tape on, man, I was forever a DJ Quick fan.
Really?
That's a bad dude.
Yeah,
rapping. I love DJ Quick.
Yeah, DJ Quick used to be in Penthouse Player Circle. That's where he made.
Yeah,
that's where he first got started. You talking about High C?
Oh yeah.
Now, Mr. Grimm, people forget about that in the what movie was that? What movie was that? That was it Minister Society? I think it was Minister Society where that movie. Yeah. So yeah.
So shout out Ice. I was a big Ice Cube fan.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's some I'm forgetting that. Raz Kass.
Yeah.
I know that, but hey, people slept on this joker right here. I'm about to mention.
Who's that?
But this was my dude, the Diggity Domino.
Oh, Domino, yeah.
Domino. People,
yeah. People
do you qualify?
Yeah.
Sure look good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I love Domino, man.
Yeah.
I love Domino.
Yeah.
But man, we could go all night on
I
that.
think people sleep on they sleep on early Snoop with Deep Cover.
Yeah.
When he first came out.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, when you think of NWA, yes, Ice Cube wrote the lyrics, MC Ren wrote the lyrics. Now, people might be upset with this, but in NWA, when Ice Cube left NWA, that brother was already wicked when he left. Yeah. It just intensified because he got with the Bomb Squad, that made beats for Public Enemy.
Yes.
And then he had the Lynch Mob.
Yes.
And we can go on and on about the conscious songs that he made. Again, I'm using the word conscious because that's
conscious.
And I think that we need to be very, very careful of the type of words that we listen to in these songs.
Yes.
They're messaging, but when I heard the Lynch Mob, and I don't want to use it, because we on here, but you gotta read. He points out at different people, but yeah, we can go on and on. But at the end of the day, Free, we just got to, we've got to educate. Having 50 years of hip hop on BET, that ain't enough.
Yeah. And speaking of which, because you had a great interview with somebody who spoke out kind of against, I guess, kind of as what's always the mainstream exploitation of the 50 years, and that was MC Shan.
Yeah.
And KRS too.
Yeah.
Took that same stance. Like, they weren't there now they want to capitalize.
Yeah.
But speaking to that, because I think too, people sleep on what Shan meant to hip hop. And I think Shan was one of those people that got caught up in, how do we make it receivable to the mainstream, this new hip hop, and he couldn't really be the bridge Shan when he got to the mainstream, that they did him the big band swing.
Yeah.
But he was a pioneer that helped get it to mainstream. And as KRS said, and just his response to the Bridges Over and stuff, created one of the greatest rivalries in hip hop or battles,
Mm-hmm.
led to some of the greatest songs, to push hip hop through the door.
Yeah.
Just tell me, what was that like? Just sharing with a legend of hip hop.
Well, I don't want to use what they call trolling, but I get on Instagram sometimes. And one night I said, man, I'm be mashed this button. He was on there talking, and I've been watching him for a couple of weeks. So I said, man,
Yeah.
let me push this button. Before I could even push the button, he invited me into it. So here I am late at night
Mm-hmm.
on Instagram with MC Shan. And I'm like, dude, I said, man, you don't know how much of a legend you are,
Yeah.
And you could tell, he's up in age, so he's talking and talking and talking and talking. But I'm hearing what he's saying. So we started talking about how people was, sold out. And he said MC Shan wasn't going to do that. And I want to piggyback on your point. You make a very good point of what MC Shan meant to hip hop. And Marley Marl. People forget about that. I mean, I remember getting my boombox Ghetto Blaster and playing the bridge, the bridge, the bridge, the bridge, the bridge. Me and Marley Marl are cut up great. I mean, that stuff you can understand, And I remember his favorite song, and I won't get into the word, but it's called PH. And you know what I'm talking about. So those songs like there, for MC Shan, and then you got the Juice Crew versus KRS-One, that was a whole beef. You got Roxanne Shante. Shout out to Roxanne Shante. So, like you just mentioned, Ben, those beefs led to great songs. I mean, people knock, people get me and Mac talked about this, and also me and Gene, we talked about the beef between Kumo D and LL. People say that, a friend of mine basically said that LL don't have hits. I said, man, you crazy.
What?
14 shots to your dome, pink, put cookies in a plastic bag. So I mean, if there was, when they had these verses, right, you can take Jay-Z's catalog, you can take LL Cool J's catalog, right?
Mm-hmm.
The majority of people, why are they gonna vote for Jay-Z? Because he's what's popular. Now, I'm not taking away his music, but people go, oh, LL, he's old. But when you look at, they got classic songs.
Yeah.
So when they came out with those verses, I was like, man, I wish, they can do like a Jay-Z and or a Busta Rhymes and somebody, a Tribe Called Quest versus De La Soul. We wouldn't necessarily look at it as beefs. We'd be more or less like, man, I don't know what the heck they're gonna play.
Yeah.
And you can do the same with with your groups like Outkast and other groups. So, I don't want to knock, but right now, where are the great groups? You don't have any because everybody's an individual artist. So back to your original question, for me, being on the line with MC Shan, man, I was honored. And then about 4 years ago, I went down to Alabama. We took some students down there for a conference. So, I walk out the lobby, it's a break. So I walk with my colleague. We're just gonna walk over here. And they were selling these books. So and I said, well, so we went over there, and as we walking back, I walk back and I see this guy with a Public Enemy emblem.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, man. So I'm like, oh, he just tried to wear it. Man, that was Professor Griff.
What?
Yeah, and here's the young folks. They're like, Mr. Hooker, what you? I said, y'all don't even recognize who that is. Now, nobody really knew who he was.
Mm-hmm.
So he was with another brother. So I went over there and said, hey, Professor Griff. And, we was talking about the S1Ws.
Mm-hmm.
And man, he immediately said, what's your name, brother? I said, so-and-so, so-and-so. And the students were like, man, Mr. Hook, you talking to him like you know him. I said, man, you don't even know who that guy is. I said, do y'all know Flavor Flav? You know what they said? They said, oh, the dude that's on Love and Hip Hop.
Yeah.
He was the hype man. I said, and so we were able to connect, man, connected with him, got his number.
Yeah.
I know all the, controversy, and so
Yeah.
my point is our pioneers are, they're leaving here day by day, but
Yeah.
it's a story. So you don't, and even in rap groups now, you don't have a hype man, no stage presence. So
Yeah.
I don't know where we headed with the stage presence. I'm used, and I didn't know this that people don't talk about it, but um Flavor Flav plays the piano and other
Yeah.
instruments.
He's a musician. Yeah.
So I mean, we can go on, but I think the essence of hip hop is just missing. Again, it's not dead. It's just
Yeah.
production from bars, and so what I'm would like to see is for us to get back to that, where we were in love with hip hop. I mean, years ago, I helped wrote a play um, on hip hop. So those kind of things we really need to get back to. And I
Yeah.
don't necessarily think we need to cast stones on the younger generation. I just think we have to meet at the middle. Where
Yeah.
you want to be an artist, publishing, um, you know, uh, production.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know the business side because people, right? What you see now is like during the Harlem Renaissance. They hijacked the culture. That's
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, before we break out, I gotta get this. I gotta get you to make a pick.
okay.
Because I'm torn on the thing because I'm in both worlds, and I explain this later. But I know that you said Saturday night is gonna be 90s hip hop versus 90s R&B. Who takes the title?
Now, see, you're gonna get me in trouble. You gonna get me
I
in
had to get some controversy in here.
Man, I'm gonna surprise people. I love 90s hip hop, but I love 90s R&B better because of the music and club scene. I'm gonna go ahead and put it the music and club scene,
Yes.
because you had the backpackers, but you talking about Escape and Vogue.
Yes.
And then on the 90s R&Bs, that's when you had artists that will partner up with those groups, and the artists were hip hop and
Yep.
R&Bs were rock. You don't have now where you got rappers trying to be R&B singers. So if I gotta go ahead and put that out there for the audience, I'm going with 90s R&B, man.
Okay. Because I'm torn because I used to have R&B dreams back in
Okay.
the day, but hip hop,
Okay.
raised me as well. So that's tough. I'm interested, but I'm gonna be rooting for 90s R&B, man. But hip hop,
90s hip hop. Now you 90s
it
hip hop.
truly taught me what I know. Like I am hip hop. You see, I got the gospel,
I know you got the book.
but it's just some of that 90s R&B is tough because I had my today ready. I was gonna come up in there. I can't wait till I was ready.
Right.
It's home,
Yeah.
but no, but I know it's gonna be a great event, and I hate I'm gonna be out of town at a conference, but I'll be there with you
So,
spiritually. And the next one, I'm gonna make sure I don't have nothing to
so
do.
I'm gonna throw one back at you. So who you got? 90s. Who you got? Jay-Z or Nas? Which song? Which
With
song?
that I know that they hate when we do this. Are we basing it on like like hit songs with lyrics. We
We talk about hit. Think about just hit songs.
hit. Then I gotta go with Jigga Man.
What hit song that he got that trumps Nas hit song?
Man, let's start with H to the is O, V
Okay.
to the is A for shizzle. My nizzle used to dribble down in VA.
Okay,
And now let me say this now.
Okay.
I am more of a Nas fan. I'm not for the record. I'm
Okay.
not a I like the early Jay-Z, Can't Knock the Hustle.
Yeah.
I used to love Who You With. I used to love, but overall, I'm more of a Nas fan.
Okay.
But I think I'll even say I think overall Nas made better music. But I'm talking about like that moved into culture icon status with their hits and Hard Knock Life, and I just think Jay-Z has the edge. Like Nas got hits, but Jay-Z's hits moved him to like culture icon, like cross genres, cross cultures. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay.
I had after school programs with kids, black, white, in between. No, it's a hard knock life. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I would say on that, Jigga.
Okay, who you got, Brand Nubian or Jungle Brothers?
Ooh.
we I mean, I could go. You got Jungle Brothers or Brand Nubian? Who you got?
I'm a say Brand Nubian for this reason. I think they had more dynamic lyricists, and with Grand Poob, Sadat, Jamar. But I mean, I think Poob's style was so different. Sadat X style was very different.
Okay.
So I give them the edge, and then just looking at what they did individually, and still could bring it collectively. I'll give them the edge.
Okay, Queen Latifah.
Oh,
Monie Love.
I gotta go with the Queen, man. I gotta go with the Queen. The Queen said, "You can't turn my mind inside out." Latifah is the name you love, but and once again, I look at that like Latifah started off native tongue, but then was able to switch it to more around the way girl with it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, who you got? Prince Paul, Jam Master Jay.
Ooh. If I'm gonna go on production, I'm gonna have to give it Prince Paul.
Okay, I was
he showed more flexibility with the projects he's done.
Mm-hmm. Scoop and Scap Lovers dancers or Heavy D's dancers?
Oh, Trouble T. Roy and
Scrap Lover.
I'm gonna have to go Scoop and Scrap.
Okay.
Because they used to do a lot more acrobatics.
Okay. And I got one last for you. MC Hammer or Tone Loc?
Well, most of us like to do the wild thing. Let me stop. I'm gonna pass it.
Now I'm gonna say this. I was a big MC Hammer fan. If you go back and look to his first record, it wasn't that bad. Then he had Oaktown 357. It wasn't that bad.
No. I liked Hammer. Mm-hmm. But I gotta go Hammer. Because Hammer had a little more longevity than Tone Loc. Because Tone kind of went into acting and never came back to music really. So I gotta give it to Hammer. But I love both. I love Tone because Tone did something very different.
Right. Okay, Redhead Kingpin. Or Redhead Kingpin or Steady B.
If we go to pioneer status, I gotta go Steady B.
Okay.
I gotta go Steady B.
Okay.
He's one of the
Beastie Boys or Third Base.
Ooh. Now, let me say this. I'm gonna go Beastie Boys for longevity.
Okay.
I think if Third Base didn't have their individual stuff,
Yeah.
they could have done a little more. I'm glad they back together doing shows finally. They squashed it from what I seen.
Yeah.
Because I think people slept on their actual skills.
Yeah.
Search was a different beast. But the Beastie Boys, the longevity, and then they got into the rock, rap,
Yeah.
funk. So I give them that.
Okay. Rick Rubin, or let me see.
Not Elroy Cohen, Leo. No.
Yeah, Rick Rubin or Leo Cohen.
Well, because I've heard so many people go at Leo, I'm gonna go Rick Rubin.
Okay. All
I
right.
don't want to get the hip hop community it mad at me.
All right. Jermaine Dupri or Puff Daddy? We're talking about all the other stuff, but Jermaine Dupri or Puff Daddy?
You know what? Just to stay safe, no, I will go. A production level got to go Jermaine
Mm-hmm.
with the flexibility. I think Diddy, he had mastered the sample to get people to dance, but I think Jermaine, he put together some dynamic styles. I mean, just with when you could produce for Chris Cross and then Mariah Carey,
Yeah.
Janet Jackson, and Escape, or Usher, or you know what I mean, Bow
Yeah.
Wow. I think he was just a dynamic dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Who you got? What's your boy name? Albie Shore. What's the boy named Chris? What did he sing?
Chris Brown?
Not Chris Brown. What's the boy name that played in
Christopher Williams.
Christopher Williams or Albie Shore?
I gotta go Al B. Shore just for this reason.
Okay.
Al B did a lot of production too.
Mm-hmm.
So he did he put a lot of songs together for cats too.
Okay.
It was Al B that brought us
Yeah.
Heavy D's. I want somebody to love me for me.
For me.
Yeah.
Sade or Anita Baker?
Ooh, now don't you do that. Don't you do that.
That's close. Now that's
Don't
close.
you do that.
Sade's, she not from America.
Hey man, but Sade lives in my heart. I won't pretend.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be honest.
Sweet love.
If we going and I gotta give Anita the edge, man.
Yeah, Anita got
everything Anita does is fire.
Okay.
I mean, everything shot Soldier of Love, even in our later stuff. But I gotta give the edge to Anita.
Okay.
That voice.
Mark Morrison or Terrence Prince D'Arby?
Oh, I gotta go with Terrence Trent. That was my guy. Mark Morrison got one of the greatest hits of a lifetime.
Greatest hits okay.
I ain't gonna knock that away from him, but he like Mark Morrison it was more for the dance track.
That was for the dance. That's about all. Yeah. I'll be honest, that's about all he had, Ben.
Yeah, Terrence could do different things with that voice, with that powerful voice. So I get it.
That's like getting chicken nuggets at Taco Bell, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This is great, man. We can go on and on, man.
Yeah, I know. I
know. I just think that this is what's missing in hip hop. Missing the music. Period. I mean, Bon Jovi. I listen to that.
Yeah.
Sammy Hagar.
Yeah.
One of my favorite groups is Pet Shop Boys.
Okay.
Devo. I mean, I might be speaking foreign to the audience, but
yeah,
I used to listen to rock music before I even started listening to hip hop.
Yeah. Oh man, we all used to watch Night Tracks.
Yeah, Night Tracks.
But look. So before we break out, cause I don't want to take your whole night because we gonna have to do this again. But,
for sure.
One last time, tell everybody where to connect with with you and digging in the crates. I'm gonna flash it up
Okay.
again just to make sure. But please,
you can hit
let
us
them
up by email hooker and macadoo@gmail.com. If you're looking for a DJ, Beyond Reality Music, go to Amazing One Aliens Instagram page, or he's also on Facebook. Eugene Mitchell. He can, DJ a great party for you, hip hop, gospel, whatever. Also, yeah, you can hit us up if you're interested in coming on our show. Hit us up at hooker@gmail.com. But again, if you're interested in DJ services, you can hit that email too, or you can look up Eugene Mitchell on Facebook. He goes by DJ Amazing One Alien if you're looking for PR, or you can hit our publicist YM Yasmin Registry, who's our PR person. So that's how you can get in contact with, or send me an inbox, Ernest Hooker on Facebook, or Digging in the Crates on Facebook. Again, who you got? I think Ben already said he's going 90s R&B. I'm going 90s R&B as well. So who gonna take the weight? 90s R&B or 90s hip hop? Again, you got the Hip Hop Wizard be there, hosted by DJ Amazing One Alien and Beyond Reality Music. Come on out. We'll be at the back table. Used to be the old silo. There's no cover charge. They're gonna have drinks. We're gonna be going from 7 to 10, and then on Sunday, you can come out and party with us with Omar Tyree at the Fly Girl party, right? But thank you for
and that's gonna be at Boston's
House of Jazz.
House of Jazz. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, man, I appreciate you, brother Hooker. We're gonna have to do it again. We're gonna have to get DJ Amazing One Alien on as well.
Yeah, we can get him on the next time. He knows just as much as me or even more.
All right, no doubt. Well, I appreciate you, brother. And
all right, as I say, one love.
One love, and we'll y'all check them out. Connect with Brother Hooker and be at the back table. Remember Friday Night Lights at Hester Park. Check them out Sunday, Boss's House of Jazz. So, brother, I say peace to you and keep doing what you're doing, my brother.
Okay, all right. Peace out and peace and love, as Don Cornelius used to say, and Soul Train. All right, man.
Peace.